Welcome back to my channel, Just Doing Great Things. Well, it's wintertime in Arkansas. Today it's we just got past a little snow. I think we might have got a couple inches. Still got some snow on the ground. Right now it's about 29-30 degrees. Here in a couple days it'll probably be about 60, but that's Arkansas for you. But when it starts cooling down, that's when we put on the flannel and we start making those tasty meals that warms you up from the inside out. One of those tasty meals is chili. I found a from scratch chili recipe, and I've messed with it and tweaked it, and I think I've come up with a recipe that's pretty good and pretty solid. Once again, to attempt to give credit to the person that came up with the original recipe, it is Randy's Fool's Gold chili recipe. I found it a couple of years ago online, and I have messed with it a little bit here and there, did my own thing with it, and kind of made it mine. But I do want to credit the person with the original recipe. The cool thing is we could do this inside, sure we could, but me and my wife, we like to go camping. And I actually made this recipe at a campground we went to, Natural Falls State Park, outside of Siloam Springs, Oklahoma. And I set up, I did my little setup, and I'm out there cooking, and over the 3 or 4 hours it took me to do this, I met a lot of people. They'd stop by and say, "Wow, what are you making?" And to me, that's a big part of cooking, baking, is sharing it with somebody else, and sharing ideas and sharing stories with somebody else. So today we're not going to do it in the kitchen. We're going to do it out here in the backyard on this. That's right. We're going to do it on an open fire in a cast iron pot on a tripod. Today's recipe calls for 2 pounds of ground beef, ground chuck or chili grind, 1 large yellow onion, finely diced, jalapenos or serrano peppers or both, the amount depends on your preference, 3 teaspoons of homemade Sazon or 2 packets of Sazon Goya, 2 tablespoons of Chipotle Chili Powder, 3 tablespoons of chili powder, 1 to 2 14.5 ounce cans of beef broth, 1 to 2 8 ounce cans of tomato sauce, 1 can of diced or whole peeled tomatoes, 1 can of original Rotel, 1 cube of beef bouillon, 1 cube of chicken bouillon, 1½ teaspoons of garlic powder, 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper, 1/2 teaspoon of Mexican oregano, 1/2 teaspoon Cayenne Pepper, 1/2 tablespoon of ground cumin. Now the reason there is a choice on beef broth and tomato sauce, number one, the beef broth, if mine runs low on water, I add beef broth instead of water. You can add water if you choose to do so. On the tomato sauce, if you like it more tomatoey, use 2 cans. If not, use 1. All right, we're going to start this out with a little over 2 pounds of 80/20 ground beef. And we'll put it in here. We're going to get this to browning. You have probably already figured out there's not a knob that dictates how warm this is and how warm it's not. We do that by adjusting the height of this chain. And right now I would say this is not quite low enough, so we're going to drop her down to about right here, and we'll see what happens. It gets a little bit more right on top of the fire. And we'll let that start browning. All right, when this gets about 70% done, it's now time to drain the excess fat or water off of this. Some people would argue that you're just draining off flavor, but you know, I want flavor, but I don't want greasiness, okay? So I'm gonna drain some of this off. I've got this strainer that is going to help me make sure I don't waste some ground beef. Put that back into the pot. Okay. Put it back into the pot. And we're going to put it back over the fire. Get this back out of the way. And we are going to add a large yellow onion. And what I've got chopped up in here is 1 jalapeno pepper. Finely diced. And then we're going to have our first dump of spices. It's got 1 tablespoon each of the chili powders and 1.5 teaspoons of homemade Sazon. Get this all mixed up good. I like to go ahead and season with a little bit of the seasoning at this point, just so it can mix and blend with those onions and those peppers and that ground beef. I don't know, to me it just, it makes a difference. We're going to brown this the rest of the way. We're going to make these onions translucent. I like to cook them down quite a bit. I don't like big chunks of anything, any kind of vegetables or anything in my chili. And that's, you know, if you like big chunks, leave them in big chunks. If you like big chunks of pepper, leave them in big chunks. I don't, so I won't. But I'm going to go ahead and let this get all married together. Get those onions translucent. Get those peppers cooked down a little bit. And then we'll add our next bunch of stuff. All right, for the next step, we are going to add the can of diced tomatoes. I have pureed them. I told you I don't like big chunks of vegetables in my chili or anything else. And so I've pureed this. And we'll add that. Get all the goodness out of there. I'm going to add 1 can of beef broth. One can of beef broth. 1 can of Rotel. And I have pureed this also for the same reason. You know, everybody has their own thing. I've got mine. I've got a beef bouillon cube and chicken bouillon cube. Throw them in there. And today, folks, I'm going to go with 2 cans, 2 small cans of tomato sauce. Just because I want it a little more tomatoey today. I guess that's a word. I'm a teacher, so, you know, I'm probably going to have one of our ELA teachers come speak to me about using words like tomatoey. But, hey, just trying to do the best can. Okay. And we're going to mix this up real good. All right. That's mixed up real good. And we're going to let that simmer for a bit. Let it get to boiling. And then we're going to add some more spices. All right. We have got it boiling good. And now it is time for our second dump of spices. I blended these together earlier so I can easily just add them to it. This is the second dump of spices. I'm gonna spread that around pretty good. And we're going to stir it up. Sorry about all the smoke, but my fire was getting a little low and I had to add to it. Just an inopportune time for that to happen. All right, I think I've got this pretty well mixed together. Sorry about the airplane going over. Apparently somebody wanted a sneak peek at how to make chili. I'm just guessing. I don't know that for a fact. Could be a person that hates chili, and in that case we just don't want to have anything to do with them. Okay, so we're going to put the lid on this and we're going to let this simmer for about an hour. Keep a close eye on it. You know, it's got a lid on it. You're going to have to check every once in a while to make sure it's not burning, scorching, or anything like that. And after an hour we'll add beans to it. That's right, folks, I'm putting beans in it. It's my philosophy is, and I know Texans are just going to cringe, but it's my philosophy that if you're going to eat it as a meal, it has beans in it. If you're going to put it on top of something as a garnish, then you don't put beans in it. And you know, you can agree with that or you can disagree with that. It's whatever you know, pick your poison. But we're going to add beans today because it's for a meal. And we're going to let this simmer for an hour. All right, it's been right at an hour. And it is time to add the beans. Now, you can add pinto beans, you can add kidney beans, you can add a mixture of beans. I'm going to keep it simple. I just went with the chili beans. And you can see Bush's chili beans. These are the mild. You got some folks around here in the house that don't like hot stuff. So I cook for everyone, not just myself. So if I want to warm this up a little bit, I can always just cut up some jalapenos or habaneros or something like that, and that'll warm it right up. Throw in a little hot sauce, something like that. It'll get as warm as I want to get it. Okay, so we're gonna let this simmer for another 40 minutes and it will be done. All right, time is up. Now it's time to give this a go. I'm just going to get a little bit, give it a taste, and see what goes on. Well, that's good. That's real good. But don't take my word for it. Do this recipe yourself. Let's see what you think. I think you'll be pleased. I think you'll like it. Thanks for coming back and taking a look at just doing great things.